Hi, this is Julie with I Love RV Life, and today I asked my daddy to come help me fix the weather stripping on my camper.
Well, hi, it's Jerry and Julie for a change. This is my baby, and she's a big camper. She and her family are big campers, just like Joan and I, and they're going all the time. As a matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see them. We're going up to the mountains and going to have a good time. So, nice thing about RV life is you can share it with your family. So we get Julie, her hubby, and we get the grandbabies too. So we get, you know, the triple winning, the triple crown here. We were up this weekend and she said, "Oh, Dad, you need to look at my camper. I've got a weather strip problem. Let me show you what we're dealing with." This is a super easy fix and something everyone should do. When you start looking at your camper, you'll start seeing something that looks like a rubber bead. This isn't actually a rubber bead. You'll see right here, it's actually a plastic strip. And you might think, well, why is that important if that comes loose? Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off and let you see what's behind it. This has failed. They last a couple years. I mean, depending on how much sun that you're dealing with, it might last 5, 6, 7, 8 years before you start having problems, and you could start having problems within a couple years. Julie, this is what your camper is this?
2018.
So this is a 2018. You bought it used, but it was gently used, right?
Very gently, yes.
Very
only
gently
a handful
used.
of times.
Yeah. So the big issue about this one, it's a Puma. It's a Forest River product. You can see it's a 30-foot?
35.
35-foot. And with the 3 grandbabies, it's got the big bunk room. But the big issue here, and you can see we haven't gotten into trouble yet. This has split. It just, you know, it's just weather. You can see where it's actually cracked right here. And then it will start pulling loose. And the downside is, you'll see right here, you've got screws located in here. And over time, water will get in these screws and cause all this to separate, and you can potentially get rot. Now, they have this steel siding, aluminum siding on theirs. If you've got a composite camper, it's even worse because you can get water behind that composite and you can actually get separation. You've probably seen that in camp. We were in Florida a couple weeks ago and we saw that, and they had a composite front end on it and it was massive bubbles. Well, if you see massive bubbles like that, guess what you got behind it? That's right, you got rot.
So I bought this. This is a 100-foot roll. I got it off Amazon. Dad sent me the link, so he'll put that in the description so you can get the same thing. It's only about $17, so that's not bad. And so it just comes 100 feet, way more than I think I'm gonna need, and we'll just pre-measure it and get it ready to go on there. And
we're gonna put this in. It's just a little finger action to pinch and peel, and then we'll reseal it and we'll kind of show you what we're doing as we go along. Let's get this fixed. It's not gonna take long, it's pretty simple. We're also gonna do a little inspecting. You'll see here as well, this isn't a lap sealant here. This is actually some kind of a silicone, and that's okay to use that as well. But I don't know if the camera can make it out, but we've got some separation right here, right in there. I don't know if it'll make out. I know it's gonna be kind of tough. But we're going to replace some of that too. We don't want water. Water's your enemy on an RV, and we don't want water getting behind here. We want this to last a long time. And then we're going to go up here on the roof as well, and you'll see up here we've got, oh my goodness, we've got tons of separation up here, a massive amount. So we're going to get some lap sealant and come across here. That is a great place for water intrusion. It's going to get behind here. It's going to cause rot. It's going to be a nightmare. Just destroy the camper. So we're going to fix that. And you can also see here, notice over time, this was just some silicone up here. And this is already pulled loose and started shrinking from up here. And that's the enemy here. This stuff shrinks. And we'll clean all this up and put new up here. And I'm noticing right here, you see the strip that's right here as well. And you can see how that's open. And as they're driving down the road, we're going to get water intrusion. So I'm going to put some silicone in there and just kind of seal that off. Just basic weather stripping and lap compound maintenance. Something you should look at once a year when you do your inspection. And just protect your investment. All right, this stuff is easy to take off. It just literally, you know, it's just a no-brainer. We'll just peel that off of both sides. I'm gonna look in here and see if we got any trash You can use a razor knife or just a good sharp pocket knife, whatever you may have. And I'm gonna have to kind of clean some of this old silicone off of here. That's a screw right there. So I'll show you this right here. This is an issue from the factory. Can you see that screw right there? The screws should be right here. And they did that to pinch the ceiling. I'm gonna back that screw off, and we'll see if we can't pinch this again. And they did that to keep it from curling up, but that's not the way I like to do it. Okay, we're gonna finish pulling this off, and you can see they've got a little pinch here for some reason. They didn't put these on the top. I don't understand why. That's a great little fixture. Should have done that. Just they took the cheap. And you can see the trash in here. That's you can tell it was split for a while. So we're going to set this over here to the side, and that's all it is to it. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm looking here. You can look at the screws. The screws are in great shape. So this is stored on the outside, so it gets a lot of weather. But the good thing is I'm looking at the screws. This separation hasn't happened too long, and I'm not seeing any rust. If you see a lot of rust in here, be my advice to go ahead and replace these screws. And this is just a basic little screw. I call them RV screws. You can buy them by the hundreds. I always keep them, a big bag full of them. You can get them off of Amazon. It's got the little square bit that goes into them. And if these are all rusty, you need to replace them. This stuff is really inexpensive. We pre-cut it. I give myself about 6 inches extra up top. I don't need it, but it just makes it a little bit easier to fit everything in. And then probably about an extra 6 to 12 inches at the bottom. And we'll have a little bit of scrap, but again, this stuff is pretty inexpensive. This has a profile, and I'll show you why this profile is important. The first time I did this on the gateway that we had, the gateway was 40 feet long, and we had the screw strips that went down along the top. And I put this in backwards, and that was last May, and we were driving to Florida, and I noticed all the cars behind us were weaving around trying to get out of our way, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had our halo view rear camera, and I'm looking, I'm going, what's going on with everyone? And then I looked in my rear view mirror, and I had put this in backwards, and it had peeled about 30 feet out down the side, and there was about 10 feet still holding it. So there was this 20-foot streamer behind the gateway that was flapping and terrifying everybody going down the road. So yeah, I ended up pulling off the side of the road, yanking it off, and then when I got back home, I had to order it and do it a second time. So let me show you the profile here. If you notice, it's like little edges with a dip that goes down and then little bends again, if you can make that out. It's kind of hard to make out. The way you install it is with the round edge to the outside. If you'll notice, it dips down here. This is the way it goes in the track, and these push into the track, and that friction is what holds these in place. Let's go up the ladder and I'll show you how it goes in. For some reason, you can see these screws that go up the middle here. Somebody shot this one into the side. I'm telling you the truth, I don't understand why. You can see the hole right here, and they just completely missed it. I don't understand. Now, I want to make sure that this little track in here is clean. I've already kind of taken a knife. You can take a razor knife, or I'm using my nice Spyderco that I beat up. And I'm going to clean that out and start with pinching this in. And you want to make sure that you clean all that old silicone or lap sealant out from in there so that you can get as deep into this track as possible. That's the key for starting this. And then we're going to put some silicone on top here in a minute. I'm going to shoot that screw back in too. Now, if you're doing this in the cold winter, this is going to be stiff and it's not going to be as pliable. You'll want to make sure it's warm. So if you're inside the house, put it by a heater vent or something like that, just so you're not wanting to heat it up per se, like stick it in a microwave. You're not wanting to do that, but you're wanting to get pliable, and it'll get a little stiff. Warmer is good. This is a hot Georgia day today in June, so we're not having any issues with this being pliable. I'm going to take this and just drop it over the front to give me plenty of working room. Again, you want the round part of the bead to be up. So it's just a pinch, a pinch. See, I'm just pinching it in there, and you want that round profile to be on the outside. Gonna scoot that up just a little bit. And what we're gonna be doing is filling this in with silicone. Here, let me show you a close up here. You can see right here, you can see what it looks like. It's pretty simple. It's just a pinch, and if you want that round profile on the outside, if it's reversed, you're going to leave this on the side of the road somewhere after you terrorize everybody as you drive down the interstate. And once you get started, it's just you just kind of get a rhythm to it. It's you just want to make sure that it seats. It's really a simple thing to do. It's probably one of the easiest maintenance projects that you can get. The biggest issue is if these channels have been smashed. I've already had that happen up here and on the other side. You might have to get in there with a screwdriver and kind of lift it up again. But you just kind of get your rhythm, and every now and then just kind of run your finger on it. And you can, see, here's a close-up, look at it. So it's just make sure that, you know, you want even spacing, you know, going up here on both sides. It's real simple. Just pinch and go. Pinch and go. We're going to finish it up, or just about done. I want to do a couple things here. I've got to put this screw back in. Again, I don't like where this screw's at, but sometimes you just have to go with what you got. Still not sure why they did this. They didn't do this on the other side. I'm going to put it down too tight. I'm going to have to put some silicone on here to hold that in place. Now, I'm going to be coming up here and treating all this area with new lap sealant in just a few minutes. But I'm going to use this is just a clear silicone. And it's going to hold up a little better in here. I am going to cover this with some lap sealant too. Just around this little screw head here. And I'm going to stuff this with silicone as well. And then I'm going to cover it with lap sealant. So it's just kind of like a double insurance thingy. And the reason I'm doing this is it's going to give me a little bit better of a sealant. And I'm going to actually put that lap sealant on top of this. But I'm just going to kind of give it a double whammy here, and then putting it here on the inside as well. Put some in there. All right, we're going to trim this off and put this little finished piece back on here. And I'm just going to snip it like this on both sides, just to kind of make it easy. And I'm going to peel it back out and just make me a little cut right across here with a pair of sharp scissors. There we go. Pinch that back in. Now, it may not show up on the video, but I've got two little teeny scratches right here because the screw hole's right here and I can't see exactly where it goes, and I don't want to put another hole in the camper. So I use that as my reference point here. And I'm gonna do that like so, and screw that back in. And I wrung it. Sometimes I just can't help myself. There you go. How about that?
There you go.
Looks good as new, don't it, Jules?
Yeah, it does.
It does. All right.
Makes me feel a lot better.
We're going to go finish the other side real quick, and then I'll take you back up top, and I'm going to show you just a little bit of extra maintenance we're going to be doing with some lap sealant. All right, you saw this. We've got a few things where we're going to have to do a little bit of maintenance here. You'll see some cracking, and what's really good is if you look right in here, you'll actually see some separation. That's bad. We're just going to touch it up for the season. There's a point coming probably by next season or so. This is going to have to be peeled out. You just take you a little plastic, like a chisel, and just scrape this up. But right now, we're just going to kind of do a quick protection for the remainder of the year. I'm going to use some lap sealant. You don't want to use silicone on this. If you look at this, this is a self-leveling lap sealant. The color here is probably going to be white. It's not going to match 100%. Aren't you coming out, lap sealant?
I bet it started out white initially.
There we go. Yeah, this might have started out white. So all we're going to do is just kind of fill up these cracks. And this looks awful, right? But it's a self-leveling and it'll go flat. And I'm just going to kind of run a bead down through here. And this will literally flatten itself out. That's the reason you want to use this. For heaven's sakes, if you got lap sealant on here, do not use like a house latex caulk. This is an X-Trim 500. That's a good lap sealant. Your Dicor is good. Sikaflex, some people like using that. If you're going to use Sikaflex, pull all the old out and then put Sikaflex on new. It is really a different type of a sealant, almost like a glue. And I noticed on our Montana, all of our seals are done with some kind of a silicone, not a lap sealant. That's the first time I've seen that. The industry is changing a little bit. This is simple. This is, you know what, 5 minutes to prevent hours and hours of repair and possibly $1,000 of repair just because we looked at the beginning of the season. You'll see some little surface cracks down here. That's not a big deal. It's the point where all this comes together that's the big deal, and that's where the separation has occurred. And interestingly enough, it's worse on this side. And if you'll notice, I don't have to do this as one bead. You can stop in the middle just like that and go back over it. Again, it's lap sealant, so those seams will flatten out. And it stays pliable. And another reason you want to use this self-leveling compound is because you're driving these campers over a 9.5 earthquake, right? And if you have something too rigid, it'll separate a lot sooner.
Daddy, where do I get the lap sealant like that?
You can order this off of Amazon. Look at lap sealant. Go out to ilovervlife.com. Go to our accessories page, and I have it listed there. And you can buy single tubes, multiple tubes, that kind of stuff. Got a big crack going across the top here I'm going to fill in. Julie made the statement, boy, this is white. Yeah, probably this that was on here was probably white too when it first went on. And this will mold. And then go back and look where you just came from. See if you got any pinholes. Like I'm looking back here on the back, I've got some little small cracks that I'm going to fill in. Just make sure you don't have any pinholes here. I'm seeing a stretch down through here that's going to need a little bit of help. That's about it. I think we're good, Jules. Little pinhole. Screws a little exposed. Bug tried to get me. Okay. Now let's look down here on the end. So if you look right here, we're going to just kind of touch that up a little bit. And then where I had that silicone, just for a little extra measure, I'm going to put just a little bit of this right here where that silicone was at. Kind of give it some extra protection. Now if we were to come back, say, in an hour, this is all going to flatten out, all those little wads. And that's all it is to it. All right, we finished. That wasn't a bad project, was it?
No, not really at all.
It took us maybe 30, 45 minutes, maybe?
You did way more than I did.
That's why she asked her daddy to help. But we did a little bit of maintenance as well. Aside from that quick little fix there, we did the lap sealant on top. That was very, very important to keep any leaking from getting in there. And you will not know it until the rot occurs. That's the scary stuff about letting water inside these campers. And we did a few little touch-ups in silicone and things like that just here on some corners, and it's just that time of year. Yeah. This is something to do, I would suggest, beginning of your season, whatever it is. A lot of times it's for folks early spring. You're getting the camper out, do a once over, get up on the roof, be careful, check these little strips. It's very inexpensive repair. And then probably toward the end of the season as well. Look up around your air conditioners. Some of those have seals on them, some don't. Most of them you don't have to fool with. The biggest thing is your vents that you have up there and your skylights. Skylights are bad about cracking, and I've got some videos on that. At the end of today's video, I'll have a maintenance playlist of just all kinds of things that will be helpful, such as cleaning your black tank, how to sanitize your water system, and those types of things. And really, Julie and I do this just for one reason, don't we?
Yeah.
Why's that?
Because I love RV life.
I love RV life too.